We're starting section 1.4, measuring and classifying angles. This video would normally be cut into two pieces, but since we're going to cover half of it during class and you are going to be assigned the other half to watch, it's going to be one long video. First, we're going to start out with some vocabulary words. An angle. Two different rays with the same endpoint. So if you see, I have a ray and a ray with an endpoint. Okay, the sides, the rays are the sides of the angles, which you see right here, sides. The rays are the sides of the angles. And the vertex is the endpoint is the vertex of the angle. Our first example, name 3 angles in the diagram. An angle always needs 3 letters to signify the angle. The vertex is always going to be the middle letter. So one angle would be this angle right here. I'm going to name it just how I drew it. Angle W, X, Y. X is the vertex, so it goes in the middle. W and Y are the sides or the rays, so they are the beginning and the end. Another would be Y, X, Z. Angle Y, X, Z. And your third one would be W, X, Z. Angle W, X, Z. Okay, X is in the middle of each of those because X is the vertex, and that is significant. All right, we have our third postulate in geometry. We'll add it to the board tomorrow. Here what you see in blue is what we're going to use in class tomorrow. It's a protractor, okay? I just sketched it in so we know what we were talking about. First, let's look at line OB. I did not draw the whole line, so okay, line OB. Remember, a line has 2 arrowheads, one at each end. So look at line OB and point A on one side of OB. Point A. Okay, line OB and point A on one side of OB. The rays of the form OA can be matched 1 to 1 with the real numbers from 0 to 180. On this protractor, we'll see tomorrow, we'll have numbers 0 to 180. 180 degrees is the total degrees of a straight line. So 0 to 180 we'll see on the protractor tomorrow. So the rays of the form OA can be matched 1 to 1 with the real numbers 0 to 180. So we're going to look at this ray tomorrow with our protractor and be able to measure this angle with our protractor. Okay, the measure of angle AOB is equal to the difference between the real numbers from OA to OB. Okay, OA to OB. So we're going to read numbers 0 to whatever it reads right here. Classifying angles. There are 4 different types of angles. Angles can be classified as acute, right, obtuse, and straight. First I have acute. The measure of angle A is between 0, let's add degrees, and 90 degrees. So the measure of angle A is between 0 and 90. So measure of angle A is greater than 0 and less than 90 degrees. A right angle is equal, the measure of angle A is equal to 90 degrees. An obtuse angle, here we have an obtuse angle. Okay, the measure of angle A is greater than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees. And here we have a straight line. The measure of angle A is equal to 180. Those are our 4 different classifications. Use the diagram to find the measure of the indicated angle, then classify the angle. First we have KHJ. KHJ. We're going to use, this is our protractor, to measure KHJ. We always put one of the rays, one of the sides of the angles on the line here at the bottom of the protractor. It's 0. See that 0 right there? And then we can measure KHJ. So here's where the ray crosses. You can go from 0 to read it right there, 55 degrees. So we're going to say that is 55 degrees, and that is an acute angle because it's less than 90. All right, GHK. GHK. So we start at 0 here, and we read it over here. We're not going to read the small number, we're going to read the big number. So we go from 0 to 125. Okay, that's bigger than 90 degrees, so it's obtuse. 2 more. GHJ. GHJ. Okay, that is straight. It's 180 degrees. GHL is right because it is 90 degrees. Here you'll see our first you try. Okay, that means that you are going to push pause, try this on your own, and then push play again to see the answer. Okay, it's part of your learning. It's trying it on your own so you know what questions to ask tomorrow. Name all the angles in the diagram. Which angle is a right angle? Push pause. There's your answer. Another you try. This is when you push pause and try on your own and write down any questions you may have. There's your answer. Okay, it's a straight angle. All right, our next postulate. It's called the angle addition postulate. Let's read this together. If P is in the interior of angle RST, interior means inside, P is on the interior of RST, then the measure of angle RST is equal to the sum, which is addition, of the measures of RSP and PST. Let's say that again. P is the interior of RST. Then the measure of RST is equal to the sum of RSP and PST. So if this is in the middle of this angle, I can add this degree and this degree up and get the big one, okay? I've got blue is the whole thing, red is one piece, and green is another. Blue is equal to red plus green. Let's try one. Given that the measure, that's how you read that, the measure of angle LKN equals 145. Okay, LKN is the big angle. Find the measure of LKM and the measure of MKN. So we know that 145 equals 2x plus 10 plus 4x minus 3. Algebra, collect like terms and solve for x. 145 equals 6x plus 7. Okay, subtract 7 from both sides. 138 equals 6x. Okay, x equals 23. Okay, we want to know what LKM is. Measure of angle LKM. I'm going to plug in 23. 2 times 20, erase. 23 plus 10. 46 plus 10 equals 56 degrees. The measure of angle MKN, I'm going to plug in 23 for x, minus 3. 4 times 23, 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 92, minus 3 equals 89 degrees. You can always check, is 56 plus 89 equal to 145? And we're good. 56 plus 89 does in fact equal 145. Just a quick check. You try. So push pause and try on your own. Okay, I solved that x equals 13. I need a new slide to finish it because I've run out of room. We're trying to find the measure of angle KLN and NLM. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide and finish the problem. Okay, we have the measure of our two angles. You can always double check. Add those together. What should you get? 180. And in fact, we do get 180 degrees. Okay, you try this one. It's just one more example, so go ahead and push pause. There you go. One angle is 60 degrees, the other angle is 30 degrees, and if you add those up, you do in fact get 90 degrees. At this point, I would have stopped the video and split it into two. But when you start back, you're going to start back on congruent angles and finish watching it. Okay, but this is normally where I would have stopped it because we've done enough for one sitting, and you would come in and do your homework. All right, and continuing on, we have some more vocabulary words. I have congruent angles. Two angles are congruent angles if they have the same measure. So the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle B, which we would write like that. Okay, remember those are the measurements, the numbers. Or we can say the shapes or the figures, like angle A is congruent to angle B, and it's an equal sign with a squiggly on top. Where we used to have matching tick marks on segments, we now have matching arcs in between the angles. So you see measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle B. First example. The photograph shows some of the angles formed by the ropes in a trapeze apparatus. Identify the congruent angles. Okay, if the measure of angle DEG, okay, it's that obtuse angle right there, is 157. What is GKL? Okay, they have two arcs here, two arcs there. If DEG is 157, the measure of angle GKL is also 157 degrees. Use the diagram shown. This is a you try. I'm going to push pause. Work it on your own. Pretty simple. Identify all pairs of congruent angles in the diagram. Angle P and R are congruent because they have two arcs. Angle T and S are congruent because they have one arc. In the diagram is another you try. Go ahead and read it and work it on your own. There you go. All I had to do was label the diagram and use the matching arcs to figure out the other angle measures in the diagram. Angle bisector. It's our last vocabulary word, I believe. An angle bisector is a ray that divides an angle into two angles that are congruent. So the measure of angle ABD is equal to the measure of angle DBC. Okay, I think that I actually need a little congruent mark here. So this first one says angle ABD is congruent to angle DBC. And this one says the measure of angle ABD is congruent to the measure of angle DBC. And that is shown by these little arcs right here. Okay, let's do one together. In the diagram at the right, YW bisects angle XYZ. The measure of angle XYW, this angle right here is 18. Find the measure of XYZ. Well, if that one's 18, you also know that this one is 18. 18 plus 18 is 36 degrees. Go ahead and try one on your own. Angle MNP is a straight angle. Straight angles are sort of funny. They're lines. M, N, P. Angle NQ bisects M and P. Bisects. I'm going to say that's a right angle, because if it bisects a straight angle, that means that it cuts it in half. 180 divided by 2 is 90. Draw angle MNP, check, and ray NQ, whoops. Use arcs to mark the congruent angles in your diagram. Change to red. I have an arc here and an arc there, and give the angle measures of these congruent angles. Okay, the measure of angle MNQ is 90. The measure of angle QNP is also 90. And that was you try that I did for you. What you see here is a daily homework quiz. You can write these down and work on them. I'll give you the answers, and it's just a real quick check. Classify each angle as acute, obtuse, right, and straight. Here we have a right angle, it's 90 degrees. Less than 90 is acute. Greater than 90 is obtuse. And here's a sort of are you listening story. How to remember. I always thought it was acute, like, oh, isn't that a cute little nose? Or, oh, that's so cute. And whenever we say that's so cute, I just think of tiny little things. Obtuse just seems like a big word. Obtuse. Right is sort of easy. Okay, DEG is 84. Find the measure of FEG. So DEG, the whole thing, is 84. Oops. Erase. Find FEG. I'm going to push pause and work on this one. Okay, I believe there's a typo here. I'm going to say this is ZXY. Because remember, the vertex always has to be the middle letter. Okay, if XW, and I drew a picture as I was reading this, and that's how I knew there was a typo. XY bisects ZXW. The measure of ZXY is, I can't write that small, 36. Find the measure of ZXW. Remember, bisector bisects it into two congruent pieces. So if I did 36 plus 36, I know my answer is 72 degrees. And check out the one before that too. These are the problems I'm going to go over with you tomorrow, so you can come with questions. That's all I got. Great work today.